coach Hugo Broos has named a 25-man squad that will head to Morocco for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations in a few weeks' time. The squad blends experience with youth. Tylen Smith and Chandra Campbell earn their first call-ups to the senior squad. The team is largely made up of players from Mamelodi Sundowns and Orlando Pirates. Joining us this morning to take a deeper look at the selection is a veteran sports journalist for Times Live, Marc Strydom. A very good morning. Good to be chatting to you here on Newzroom Afrika once again, Marc. Firstly, your initial thoughts?
Initial thoughts, morning Valen, morning viewers. Yeah, it's a strong squad. I mean, it was a strong, the 54-player preliminary squad really had so many talented players, and there was barely a player that you could say, okay, they don't deserve to be there. So then when you narrow it down to the 25, I mean, it was a tough job. And I think the coach knew, he said he knew 75% of the squad. Of course, he knows the core of his team that from the previous AFCON and the year and a half since. But so he knew that, but the other 25% must have been an extremely difficult job. I think he's done a great job. One or two small surprises, but there's always one or two small surprises, but generally really a strong squad, a really competitive squad. And with the way the team's been playing, it's a combination that looks like it can do something in Morocco.
So if I ask you the poll question, you've got 4 options here. What will be your poll selection? Is it the perfect balance? Are there some surprises? Is it missing key players, or is it not our strongest team, Marc?
What was the first one, Valen?
Perfect balance.
Perfect balance.
Okay, so is it the perfect balance to win us the Africa Cup of Nations title?
Yeah, that is the million-dollar question. Look, I think this team this is the first AFCON that we're going to in 26 years, where we probably maybe 22 odd years that we feel we actually have a chance of winning an AFCON. I mean, absolutely, when you look at the third place the last time, when you look at the emerging talent that's come in, when you look at the fact that players like Nkota, Mofokeng, Mbata, who's been such a match winner, scores these long-range goals in such tough situations. You look at an entirely new look defense that I think is stronger. It's younger. It's got more potential. The last defense was good. There were experienced players like Ron Kekana. But this really is an exciting young defense. You look at the best goalkeeper in Africa, and Ron Williams, who's got huge experience, who can really marshal this team and is a great captain, who was a nominee for the Pushkas Award 2 years ago. They went within penalties against Nigeria of the final in the last AFCON, and no one was giving them a hope. Now it's a bit difficult because people are a bit more prepared. They know Bafana Bafana are good. Again, that's difficult, but yes, I think this team can win it. I do believe they can win it. I'm not saying they will, of course. It's an AFCON. It's so tough. There's so many good teams.
Yeah. I read your and Mark Leeson's article in the Sports Day today, because we have a paper run every single morning here on the AM Report, and you guys focused in on the 20-year-old duo. How much of a gamble was that, Chandra Campbell and Tylen Smith, to include them to go to the Africa Cup of Nations, where you are going there with a stated goal that you are wanting to reach the semi-finals?
Yeah, it's interesting. Look, we know Hugo Broos, and I think this is what we like about this coach. He's always got an eye for the future. He's always got an eye for regeneration. He's retiring after the World Cup next year in June and July. It's not for Hugo Broos necessarily to rebuild for himself, but he's thinking of his successor. I mean, how excellent! What a selfless coach! What a coach who really loves his job, and this is why players die for him. I think it's not too much of a gamble in terms of they're good players. They can do the job, and they're huge talents for the future, and possibly 2 of the biggest talents for the future. They're going to get amazing experience there. The players that have gone out, Ikram Reiners, maybe Tapela Morena, could have been there from his versatility, but Reiners is on standby. And those two, there's an eye to the World Cup as well. Maybe they'll be there in the World Cup. And they could even, in the training camp, maybe they impress the coach enough to get a few more minutes than he's saying they're coming more for experience for the future, but maybe they can even force their way in. But they're definitely hugely talented, and it's great to have an eye for the future.
Many people speaking about Tembazwane not being there when the preliminary squad, Temenkosi Lorch not being there, which the coach already explained. He's just a little outside of his age bracket and kind of keeps the team back from looking to the future. Who for you were the three players that missed out that you feel the coach really could have put in?
Yeah, so Temazwani unfortunately just coming back from injury too late. You know, he came on in the 88th minute, his first game since September. And he barely played this season, played 5 games. It's really unfortunate. We know the coach would have loved to have him there. The coach had him in the preliminary squad because he was hoping maybe there was a chance. The coach loves Tembazwane. Ikram Reiners, second top scorer in the league last season. Probably should have been a candidate for player of the season. Somehow wasn't. Could have been there. But when you look at those forwards, they're all on form. They're all scoring goals. They've all got different capabilities to bring. And Hugo Broos just has a good feel for who to include. I'm not going to complain too much about Ikram Reiners. He's someone who can score goals. We know he can. I don't see a player in the forwards that the coach has picked who can't also do the same. So I think those were. I thought maybe Topelo Morena because he's a utility player. He can fill in for Khaliso Modal if Modal gets injured at right back. He can play in the wing. He's very versatile. He can play in midfield, but there's enough cover generally. There's enough cover for right back. There's enough cover everywhere. So, and possibly a player who's getting on a little. So I'm pretty happy with the squad.
Okay, so Mark, we've got 9 players from Orlando Pirates that are in this team, and in the 25-man squad, if we don't include the standby player of Ikram Reiners, we've got 5 from Mamelodi Sundowns. How much of an impact is that going to have on these 2 league contenders when they come back from AFCON? I know we are feeling national pride at the moment, but there is, of course, that club question once they return.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what impact that has on the league race, especially Pirates, because arguably, so they've got more players in the squad, and arguably they've probably got a little less depth in their squad. They've got a great squad right now. I'm not saying, but maybe a little less depth than Sundowns do. Maybe it affects them a little, and Pirates putting up this great title challenge at the moment, making the league exciting again. I think clubs are good at managing these things now. I think really what it brings, they're 2 such good teams right now, Pirates and Sundowns. And when you can build your team, your Bafana team around them, it gives you so much, the amount of young talent that's being produced out of Pirates at the moment, the strengths of Sundowns, the fact that they compete continentally, both went to the semi-finals of the Champions League last year. It really gives you such a nice core of your squad for Bafana Bafana. I think in terms of the title race, I hope it doesn't affect Pirates. I don't think it will. I think they can manage this. They'll have a bit of a pre-season again, coming back from the AFCON and integrate everyone, and I think it'll be fine.
Mark, what happens now? Our first game is against Angola on the 22nd. Also in our group is Egypt, and then our final game will be against our neighbours, Zimbabwe. What happens now? We've got Hugo Broos. He's going to go to the World Cup draw on Friday. He also joined the team announcement virtually. And then how do we look as we cross fingers, go on to actually win a second continental crown?
Valen, there's the Carling knockout final on Saturday, Pirates against Gilans, and then on Monday the team goes into camp. Hugo Broos will be back from the World Cup draw, as you say, in Washington on Friday. They go into camp on Monday, and then that's where the build-up starts. There's one more warm-up game. I stand corrected, but I think there's one more warm-up game where they can try a few things. Probably give a a bit of a shadow starting 11, a bit of a run out, and then yeah, as you say, December 22, it's Angola is the kickoff. It's a fair amount of time from the 8th. It's nice. I think the league has, there's a bit of harmony again in South African football, which you're not always seeing. And the coach has got a decent little build-up. It's not a little build-up. It's a decent build-up from the 8th to the 22nd to put everything together. And I think by the time of that Angola game, the first game of the last AFCON, we didn't win, put us under pressure. So we had to kind of squeeze through the group stage. I think this time, it's a group we can win. It's a really big game, and I think Bafana Bafana are going to be going for those 3 points against Angola, and I think they should be in a pretty good state.
Marc Strydom, veteran sports journalist, thank you so much for chatting to us. Good to hear your thoughts on Hugo Broos' 25-man team. And we look forward to chatting to you again here on Newzroom Afrika.